What happens when football goes too far? In 1969, a World Cup qualifier helped ignite a real war. This is the story of the game that caused a war. On October 15, 1969, El Salvador and Honduras were set to face off in a World Cup qualifier. The two teams had a long history of animosity, but this match was different. For decades, tensions had been brewing between the two countries over immigration and land issues. And now, with a spot in the World Cup on the line, tempers were flaring. As the Salvadorian team took the field, they were met with a chorus of boos from the Honduran crowd. It didn't take long for the match to turn violent. With El Salvador taking the lead, fans stormed the pitch, forcing the players to flee for safety. When order was finally restored, the match resumed and El Salvador scored again. The Honduran fans went wild, throwing bottles and rocks onto the field. By the end of the match, 18 people had been killed and hundreds more injured. But it wasn't just a loss for El Salvador, it was a humiliation. In response to the violence, El Salvador demanded an official apology from Honduras and the resignation of the Honduran Soccer Federation. When this didn't happen, El Salvador's foreign minister took a drastic step. He severed diplomatic ties with Honduras, accusing them of harboring a hostile attitude towards Salvadorans. Just 4 days later, on November, El Salvador sent troops into Honduras, starting a conflict that would last just 100 hours. The Salvadoran military quickly made gains against the unprepared Hondurans, capturing 2 key cities in less than a day. But the Hondurans were able to regroup and launch a counterattack, pushing the Salvadorans back across the border. The war claimed thousands of lives and left many more wounded. But after 3 days of fighting, the two nations agreed to a ceasefire. The war was over. But the question remained, what had started it? Was it really just a football match? In some ways it was. The rivalry between El Salvador and Honduras was intense, and the events of that October day in 1969 pushed things over the edge. But there was more to the story. The political tensions between the two countries had been building for years, and the football match was just the spark that ignited the powder keg. El Salvador and Honduras may be small Central American nations, but their football rivalry was a big deal. Sadly, it became a deadly one. One match ignited more than passion. It ignited war. That's all for today. See you next time.